Hello, Heathens.
Hello, Athens.
We have been talking for an hour before we got here.
An hour. We had much to say
Much to talk about.
because we're talking about Mercury. So of course we had to say
I,
all of the things.
I didn't even think about that.
I
Yeah.
didn't till just now.
We
They
were
were like, duh.
the heavily using our Mercury signs.
Right, right. We were fully exercising them.
So today we're talking about Mercury, obviously, because we just talked about it. Anyways, we're also talking about our rising or our ascendant sign, and that those two words just flow in and out of each other, essentially. I think ascendant is the more proper
Formal.
term,
Yeah.
formal, and then rising is what like your
A nickname,
yeah, yeah. What
essentially.
what we would use, basically.
Heathens.
Heathens.
Heathens for the people.
So, I just want to say I hope you guys are liking the astrology portion because I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning uh more than I ever have about astrology. Like I have a pretty good basis to work with, but like I feel like we're just uncovering so much about these planets that I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all those, it's funny because this is what they talk about, reworking stuff because you go in and you're like, oh, I know all of the houses and oh, I know all the zodiac signs. Like you start remembering it and stuff like that. And then you go back to it and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, because your
Yeah.
brain was processing the little parts.
It's just like rereading books like five freaking times and you keep picking up new things on them. And I'm like, I didn't know any of that. Did I even
Seriously.
read this book?
Did I even
Like,
read this book? Did it change while it was sitting on my shelf? Because
I,
I feel like it did.
this book has been rewritten. I don't know how, but it has. And it's like,
Hmm.
are we jumping timelines? Am I on a new planet? Is this a new reality? It's a new book.
It is. It is. It
It's,
is,
it is.
actually. It is. It is.
Wow, it is.
It is. It is.
So yeah, I hope you guys like all of that being said, I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are because I feel like us getting this, it's just really nice to know for yourself. Again, we've said that, but just to reiterate, it's really nice to know this stuff for yourself because it can really help you further and better yourself. Looking at this stuff, it gives you like these easy bases to just jump off of. It opens up like
Hmm.
freaking 50 million doors. Take your pick, whichever one you want to walk through, truly.
Well, that's the thing is the more times you watch it, the more times that you watch other people say the same thing, the more familiar you get to it, the more you start to lay down a foundation that, like what you had just said. So that's the thing is you really, because when I first started ritual magic, I couldn't do Hebrew.
Oh
Not that I
yeah.
can really do it now, but
Better
I
than you
can,
could.
right, but I can, off the top of my head, I could do and perform for you about 7 rituals without needing help or books. Where when I started, I had to have my headphones on, listening to an audio book, go step by step on how to say the words. What way do I turn? What do I put there? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Such elementary. And then here we are. And I was like, all right, I could perform about 7 rituals without
Big
paper. Yeah,
rituals.
without paper, just off the bat.
So cool. I don't know. I find learning and like gaining knowledge to be such an enjoyable thing.
It's so satisfying. I agree.
I also find it very satisfying when other people learn and gain more knowledge too. It just makes for such good conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Intellectuals love it.
Intellectual.
Brains love them. Okay,
Yes,
so let's
yes.
start with our rising because I feel like this one is there's more to it's another one of those well, I guess we didn't consider this a planetary placement, but you would. It's one of those things where
It's a chart placement.
Yeah, there you go. That's a way better way of saying that because I'm like, what are you can't really kind of, but not really planetary placement.
Well,
But
cause yeah, cause like it's where the planet, our planet was at the moment of your birth.
yeah, there you go.
So that's, I don't know if you would call that a planetary. Like yes.
Pish posh.
Bish posh.
Pish posh. But like this is one of those ones I feel like you either know what it is or you don't, and you understand it or you don't. And I feel like until you get
Mm-hmm.
it really explained out, you don't really understand it because it's kind of hard to explain when you really don't have a good basis of what it is and like what it does for you and how this affects you as a person. Um, so I'm really excited to talk about it because I feel like this also helped my vocabulary behind explaining this as well, to where if I did have to explain it, now I have more words to help that make sense. Even
Mm-hmm.
though the words that I'm using right now do not make sense. Also, it's heathens at
They
the night. It's heathens during the
at the
nighttime, so get ready for the
at,
weird.
heathens in the, well, we're not even at dark yet,
I don't
so
know. Sometimes that sun be setting, we get real weird. It's a special late night
a
show.
little bit weird over here.
I enjoy recording at the night. Okay, so let's see here. Your rising sign or ascendant is going to be like that first impression you make from like your appearance, your attitude, your demeanor. And most people guess your rising sign before anything else because that's what comes forward first.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is like you feel like this can feel like, you think you know somebody and then you get to know them even more and you're like, "Oh, like I didn't know all this stuff about you. Like there's so much more to know about you than just like this what I thought."
Yeah, it's almost like maybe like your professional voice compared to like, do you know what I mean? Like when you first, when you're a stylist, you have a different like way you word things compared to like when you're hanging out with your friends and you're like, "Hey, what's up, fucker?"
Yeah. Yeah. I also love that like comparison of like your professional phone voice versus like your
Mm-hmm.
best friend voice because that is so funny to listen to sometimes. I'm like, oh, your phone voice, man.
Yeah, you're
Very
like, "Wait,
different.
who are you?"
Who the fuck are you?
And it's almost like when you see, like, if you visit somebody at their work and they have like that moment where they have to like um be professional, like if you're hanging out with them or whatever, and they're like, "Hold on 1 minute, let me take care of this," and you see them be professional, and you're like,
Yeah, you're like, what? What just
"Bitch,
happened?
I saw you take a hit off of the floor last night. That is not you." Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, what the fuck? It's so, especially when it's somebody like you're still getting to know and like you catch them, like you've only seen them in like a like easy setting, and then you catch them in that professional setting and you're like, ugh, what just happened?
like what is going on?
Yeah, for real. So, that's kind of what this is. Like once you get to know somebody more, you'll start to notice that they're like different than you thought. You're basically the rising sign is knowing somebody at a very basic level, just like the surface.
I know a lot of people said it was like the mask that people wear, and I know that I saw that a lot of astrologers didn't like that either. And I would almost say it's more like a shield almost.
Yeah.
Like this is my, what I'm going to give you so I don't get attacked kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like this is how I want you to perceive me, essentially.
Right, right.
Yeah. It's so funny because like normally whenever somebody's like, well, oh, you know some astrology? Like, what's my sign? Because that's always fun to have somebody guess your sign. But usually I'll hit. I don't. I'm rarely spot on with like the sun sign. Sometimes I'll hit either the rising or the moon, or those two somewhere in there is what I'll hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because as hairdressers, we listen to people talk a lot and like their emotions come out a lot. And sometimes I don't
Right.
even think they realize how much they're coming out. And you're like, oh, pegged your moon, pegged it, got it.
Right, right. You're like, oh, I got this. I got this. Yeah, because moon hits differently. And then sometimes, depending on what you're talking about, it could shift. Like, what's a stronger aspect than this? And the thing is about astrology, folks, is that this is a lifetime study. People do lifetime studies on just astrologies to be good at them. So, like, you take what you can and you learn what you can, but like when you see a professional, they will blow your mind because
Yeah.
they see the whole world because they've been studying it, and it's like it really is a skilled trade for people.
Yeah, and yeah. They're just like the way that some people know their shit when they're talking about astrology just blows my mind. Cause like truly, you guys, like we're diving in the deep end for somebody who's standing on the side of the pool and hasn't even touched the water. Okay, this is like big stuff where you're gonna want to listen to the episodes probably a couple times before it sinks in.
Right, right.
But like these people are swimming in the freaking Marianas Trench.
Oh yeah, they are definitely like they're in it to win it. They can, I mean, we couldn't hold a paddle to them. There's no way.
No.
Like I even talking about astrology, I feel like a baby doing it because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, hold on. Hold on. You just said.
Yeah, yeah. They're in the ocean. I'm still in the kiddie pool. Okay.
I got my floaties
Yeah,
on.
I'm waiting. I'm like, hey, my knees can touch. I'll pretend like I can swim, but my knees are touching.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I could still touch the bottom. It's fine. If
I
I have
can
to get
still
out, I'm
touch.
okay.
I can stand up straight and I will hit my knees.
Hmm.
That's how I feel about it too, because I'm like, I don't know. Something like okay, a good example is some of like the more technical side of this stuff. I did not know your rising signs from natal chart to natal chart can change every 2 hours, and that's where like knowing your time, that's where it comes in big. And I read this astrologer had wrote this article and had said that obviously there are a lot of birth charts that don't have um times, which we had talked about before, and they actually suggested talking to your parents about it and seeing if they like kind of knew like what kind of time it was. Because sometimes, some people are really good at like nailing that. They just know.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you can go off that too to try to give you an idea of what it would look like.
Hmm. Also there are I've heard, I've never seen it because I always had my time. So I never had to like find that person that can do it. But I have heard that there are some astrologers that can actually like try to almost divine where the timing would be or the where your
Oh,
ascended sign would be just by like your other aspects, by by other things. So because where your ascendant sign is the beginning of your chart, so it really does govern like the rest of that chart.
yeah. That's another thing I didn't know, that your ascendant is the starting point of the 12 houses, and it's always in the first house beginning. That's where it begins, is at the ascendant in the first house, and all the houses follow counterclockwise around the chart. And like until you
Mhm.
get the 12th house, and that ends at the same point as the first house. I personally have not studied the wheel enough to like know all of that. And so I feel like I'm learning so much. I was like, damn, I did not know that.
You're like, I know.
So your ascendant is the constellation that was rising on the eastern horizon at the time and location of your birth.
Right. So if you essentially took a ruler off the side of the planet and took that straight line, and it's not a flat earth joke, but if you took that and you rulered it all the way out, there would be a zodiac sign, and that's your ascending. So it's the
Yes.
horizon It's the horizon.
Oh, we have a special guest.
We have a special guest.
Special. She's very special. She's a queen. Yeah, I saw
Yes.
another good visual too is I saw this and I liked it a lot. If you imagine that you're standing right in the center of the horoscope wheel, the ascendant indicates the eastern horizon line. That was like where the sun is rising over that moment, and that's where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's a good visual too. Um, okay, I don't know why I put that like 5 times. I think it's because I was just so like,
Excited
duh.
about it?
Yeah. Like, duh, of course, but like I didn't, it's one of those but you don't know things. I also did not know that every single person's rising sign is going to be in the first house.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So easy to remember.
That makes it, that's what makes astrology easy.
That one thing. One thing. I'm like, yes.
That doesn't
Thank
move.
you. Astrology. I will always know from now on that rising signs in the first house. Now, do I know what the first house means? Not without looking it up
Well,
yet.
actually, you do,
Oh,
because
I
it
do.
means the same thing as the ascendant sign.
Hey, two
It's all
things.
about individuality. It's about your brand. It's about the ascendant was more about how you see the world, like rose-colored glasses kind of thing.
Um,
You, man.
I now know two things that do not change that help me to know more. Yes.
Yes.
Knowledge, love it.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
So, I also saw this just as a reminder, if your sun is yourself, right? Or your ego, and the moon is like your heart, because that's like your emotions, then the
Mm-hmm.
ascendant would be like the outfit and the hairstyle or like your appearance. And it's going to be how you
Yeah.
show up. It's your surface level personality. And I
Mm-hmm.
also saw somebody say it's your first and last impression. And I was like, oh, that's really
Oh,
good. Because
yeah.
your first and last impression, it's going to be like how you outwardly project yourself first meeting somebody, and then you leave to say bye, your rising sign's going to show a lot there. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's so true.
Yeah, because I'm a Libra, so it takes me at least an hour to say goodbye.
I'm a Pisces rising. Mm.
You
I'm
just
gonna
slither out of there. Poof.
lit in and then I'm gonna slither in.
Uh-huh.
I'm really like,
Gotta
Irish
go.
goodbyes. Gotta
Mhm.
go. Sorry, I gotta
Gotta go.
go.
Gotta go.
Um,
The water is calling.
the water is calling. So this can also be representative of the physical body as well, and it can give you
Mm-hmm.
clues about like your physical appearance and what gives and depletes your energy when it comes to like your physical appearance, which I find also very cool because I never have thought about like using your rising sign when it comes to physical appearance and like working with that to like make sure you feel really good about yourself because again, we've talked about this a million times in the what year and a half that we've been doing this, but body dysmorphia is a fucking bitch.
It is a bitch.
Mean. She's mean.
She is mean.
Do not like her. So I have not thought I was thinking about it when I read that and I was like, so which science experiment that I will be conducting, because I did think about this and I really want to try this, is like, what if you worked with your rising sign when it comes to your physical appearance and like seeing like between that and obviously our Venus, which we talked about too, which can help you a lot with like the way you dress and things you love. What if you blend the two together and you try to like see what's going to feel good to you within those and what makes sense? Like looking
Mm-hmm.
it up, starting to figure out what that means, and then working with that. Could that be something that cures body dysmorphia, or at least makes you feel less like dragged down into the mud from her?
It possibly could, because like if you think about it, because body dysmorphia is like a an illusion, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and if we lean into what that sign represents, I really think we could like, you could be like, oh, I'm totally doing body dysmorphia right now. right? Like you just know it.
Right.
Like I know my face doesn't change that much from day to day, right? But
Right.
there are some days that I am exalted and
Yes.
you can't fucking touch me.
Can't tell me shit.
Can't tell me shit. But there are other days that I feel like I'm putting lipstick on a pig and I'm like, I gotta,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing today.
There
Like,
are
I
some days
can't,
I walk into that bathroom and I say, I am not
oh,
looking in that mirror right now. Absolutely
right,
not. Absolutely
right.
not. Because then I do it and I'm like, oh, I had to do it. I had to do it to myself.
Well, you have to, right? I gotta put makeup on. So, like, and I have not mastered the art of doing this wing eyeliner just like
I
from here.
feel you're just, I know this is going to take us down a whole world, guys. Again, we are heathens at nighttime.
Heathens at night.
I warned you in the beginning.
I'll
But
light
like,
some more Santo Paulo wood.
could you just imagine you just see somebody and they're doing a perfect wing liner just off field, they got one eye
Just
closed,
off a
and they
field.
just do the way I would have to study that how did you do that? How did you, how are you
Are
doing
you
this?
are you a vampire? What is going on?
Yeah,
I
what
don't
is happening?
understand. Like
Yeah,
I don't.
the vampire is good because what they don't have a they can't see their reflection.
Yeah, in some stories, worlds, you know. I think most of them actually.
What does it say? We talking Anne Rice? We talking Twilight? Or are
Well,
we talking?
Twilight, can they see? No, he gets to get his picture taken.
Oh, that's true. What world are we talking about here?
I
We have a
guess
lot.
old school vampire. Uh
We're on two.
Scooby-Doo.
Um, okay, so yeah, Scooby-Doo. So, okay, let's see. I do have some rising signs pulled up. If you want to hear about like some traits really quick, then that's all I got for this. So let's see. Nicole's Libra ascendant. Let me pull her up here. So, it says Libra ascendants, natural communicators. They're creative and can charm like no other, which I don't care what she says right now, that I have seen this in motion. I have seen this in motion. Somebody new that she meets and all of a sudden they're obsessed. I was that person. I was put under the charms. It says that Libra ascendants have attacked and intuitively know how to approach a situation and maintain peace and productivity in any conversation. It says there's no sort of shortage of interest in love, beauty, and indulgence as they're ruled by Venus and the planet of beauty, love, and aesthetics, right? And this person, air quotation said, Airy Libra prioritizes quality in social dynamics, intellectual retention, and interpersonal relationships, making art of the manner in which they acquire knowledge and conduct themselves. The way that her ascendant comes out when she is talking to clients, you'll catch the two, the ascendant and the sun playing together
Hmm.
a lot because I'll see like very good at that specifically this like intellectual retention and like the interpersonal relationships and like making sure that there's like this knowledge but like that you acquire about people and like the way that you conduct yourself, you're very like particular in like the way that you talk to people, and so that tracks. I would say I would say that
That tracks.
tracks. um
Yeah.
let's see, what's the baby's ascendant?
Ooh. Virgo.
Virgo ascendant people can be reserved at first, ruled by analytical Mercury. Virgo rising people soak up every detail and piece of information before letting someone in. Virgo energy loves to be of service and to help others, and they feel the best when they're useful.
Mm-hmm. That is her
Similar
to a T.
to a T.
Yep.
Similar to Gemini rising, which is also ruled by Mercury, Virgo has a big focus on communication. Virgo's their methodical mind craves to filter and distill information rather than amassing every piece of information. But unlike Gemini, Virgo finds only the most critical and most relevant information. So Virgo rising people know how to keep a routine and know the small habits change lives, which ultimately makes many of them very successful.
Absolutely. Virgo
So
friends are very uh I know they get a rap of being boring, but like I I don't find it that way.
I don't either. I enjoy Virgos a lot.
Hmm.
They are my favorite, especially a Virgo like Mercury too. Oh, I love a good Virgo conversation with a Virgo. Mm,
Absolutely.
chef's
Absolutely.
kiss.
Hmm. Tough kid.
Um, Mine says people born with Pisces ascendant are some of the most energetically open, receptive, and creative people you can meet. Pisces risings are mystical beings with a light yet hazy magical aura. Anyways,
Yeah, but that is you to a T. Come on now. You
they're
gotta own that shit.
I'm like, hey,
You
I'll
wear it
take
on a
it.
t-shirt.
Says they're dreamy, kind, and passionate, and they can often overthink and be very hard on themselves, which can lead to escapism. And I said, yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
oh, yeah.
calling me out. Their ability to absorb so much energetically can have them taking on the energy of others, which will lead to the desire to escape. They can also have them struggling with boundaries. Remember how Nicole said, I will flutter in, I slither out? Dude, the minute that that starts to become too much, Irish goodbye. Peace out. I gotta go. I gotta
Hmm.
go. um, Says Morris calls Pisces risings perceptive, soft spoken, and givers. And that's because they can be very in tune with their senses. So they recognize when someone else needs help and they have a natural tendency to bring comfort when it's needed. However, they can use some work on setting boundaries and establishing me time. So, like, man, the way that like my chart is just set up for me to like really work on boundaries in this lifetime is like it's a constant thing where I'm like, okay, I am very aware. And I feel like it's been something that's been like helpful in a good way where it's like, yeah, that's right. I do need to help with boundaries. Like sometimes I definitely like be stepping in where I don't really need to step in. And then I end up kicking myself for it.
Well, I mean, that's one of those things that you really like have. I mean, I think we all kind of have a hard time with that too. Because even like, I'll sit there and tell somebody about themselves when they didn't even fucking ask. And what good is that? That's just me wasting breath at that point, right? But
Right.
I haven't necessarily learned that lesson. Or when I think I have, it's like that whole like head comes out somewhere else and goes, no, no, this is where you need to do it. And you're like, yes. And then you do it and you're like, fuck, I did it
Fuck.
again.
Same, same.
Oh,
Or
boundary's a
like
tough one.
boundaries is a tough one. And I reading that also really helped me to understand like I do um like that like natural tendency to help someone because you're in tune with their senses. I am very much like that. And sometimes that also can be overstepping boundaries for people. That's like one of those things where I've really learned like even if you're venting, of course I want to help. I want to help. I want to step in. I want to like make this better. Like, come on, happiness, peace, let's go. But I've had
Right,
to
right,
really
right.
learn how to like say that whole thing of, do you want my advice or would you prefer me to listen right now? Because I can do either or, whichever you prefer. Because,
Right.
ooh,
Well, because that's the thing is like sometimes people have to walk their own walk. Like they have to break their leg because they have to learn something about the healing of the breaking of the leg. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but they won't learn that just by you telling them, don't do that,
right.
right? Like they have to learn about it.
Especially if they're a heathen, because they're gonna say, fuck that shit, I'm still gonna do it.
Well, absolutely. Like a lot of times I want to know, don't tell me no. Tell me what happened to you that made you say no, right? Like I love this is like people will in my magic class, they'll be like, well, don't work with spirits because we were doing a whole thing in water where we were doing mirror um trances.
Mm,
And they're like, but you don't really want to like talk to spirits or something like that. And I'm like, why?
I do.
I don't understand why you don't think that's a good idea. Like either A, something happened that you didn't like. B, there either you messed up and then like something happened where like there's a thing in there that it's like, well, yeah, but I'm not you. So I need to know like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like especially like people that an example that comes up is like reading the Bible. Like people are very much this is so easy to like use as a ism because like they'll be like, no, you should only read this book. You don't have to read any of the other books. The other ones are crap.
Hmm.
Yeah, but if I find one word in one of those other books that completely changes my inner making,
Yeah.
it just takes one word.
Right.
And that's what I'm digging for. I'm mining for it.
Right.
I don't know why I got on that subject. Sorry. Or like that.
To
I
be
don't know what I
honest,
was
I don't
trying to,
either. I was
I
listening
don't
what
know
you're
what point I was actually trying to make there.
I
I
don't
forgot.
either.
I
I did
forgot.
too. Because I was getting into what you were saying and I forgot why we were talking about it.
Oh no,
Hello.
I just forgot. Heathens at night.
Heathens at night.
Heathens at night.
Welcome to Heathens at night. Um, disclaimer, I gave it. Um, what else you got on the rising?
um, it's basically the same thing that you had was just that. It's your personality, it's what shows up first. Um, this would be your if it was a persona, this would be your meet and greet kind of gal that like showed up at first and like welcomed everybody to the party, like the host or whatever. Like they welcomed you to
Mm,
the party, they like show you around to the other signs, like but you have to get through her first before you get to meet the other signs. Like she's might be a bouncer too. So
fair.
and it's interesting because like the more I delve in and I'm comfortable with these energies and knowing them and putting an aspect on them and stuff, the more I can see them as like sometimes if I am um talking with somebody or doing some sort of action, I can almost see it where I go from like Capricorn to Libra to Taurus. Like I can see how it kind of plays in and how you can almost I think once we get really good at it, I think that we can actually use them as tools. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to sit down and read this book today. I need to get Mercury involved and I need to get Gemini involved and I need to get Libra involved. I need to get my air signs involved, or, even just one of them. But like actually turning it around and be like, oh, I noticed this about me to I need to get some shit done. Who do I need to bring with me?
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, because I've been really like obviously we're focusing on astrology right now, so I've been paying attention too. Where in one conversation with somebody, you'll hear my Virgo Venus come through, you'll hear my Libra Mercury comes through, like you'll hear like, oh, all of a sudden now my Pisces here. Oh, now my Aquarius moon's here because we really my Aquarius moon and my Venus are coming forward because they're like, oh, we really like that. Let's get weird. Like, yeah, let's talk about this. Like
Yeah, yeah. Let's get
I
weird.
I think about it a lot now too, where I'm like, oh, that was that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll start seeing it even as you're having a conversation. You'll be like, "Oh, that was my Libra."
Yeah.
And actually, Trinity was the one who kind of pointed that out. She's like, "I like it when your Libra's playing, like when they have the controls instead of my Capricorn, because my Capricorn's like, no, and my Libra's like, well."
Yeah, we could try it.
So sometimes I do feel kind of like Sybil sometimes because I'm like, I'll be like, no, and then I'll be like. Come on.
And then that tourist is
Let's
like, yeah,
go.
actually, we should do that.
Right. The
That's
Taurus doesn't help at all. Like
that's gonna be fun.
it's a hard one because the God, I would be such an addict if it wasn't for my Capricorn because I have a Taurus moon, which is ruled by Venus, but then I also have Libra that is ruled by Venus. And you want to talk about overindulging.
Yeah,
I
your
love it.
Capricorn says boundaries, step back. It's a big bouncer. She's like,
She's like, no, no,
You're
we're
done.
not doing that. No, no, you're done.
Your Taurus and your Libra are like, let's party. And they're like,
Uh-huh.
no, it's a school night.
So yeah, so I use drugs, but then I'm like, oh, just I can only do it here. I have these weird little rules that I'm like, no, I can only do it at night in bed. Like that's all. That's the only time I could do it. Like I'm talking about my nightly pot excursion. So
Yeah, your Capricorn's like, here are the rules. If you don't stick to
hmm
the rules, there's going to be a problem.
there's a problem, right?
So funny. Yeah, it's like fun to see like what comes out. Like especially when you start really paying attention, it's like fun to see like what comes out and like realize it about yourself and be like, damn, like my Virgo Venus, dude, that's where my body dysmorphia sits too, and I know it.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
have standards, baby. And if you think I have standards for others, you better believe these standards for myself. They're like, whoop, right up there.
Yeah, it's that critical like thinking almost that like she's so loud and so like picky.
Dude. And if you
This
don't
and
hit those
that, da da
marks,
da. Yeah.
she's
Mm-hmm.
not happy.
She's not happy.
She's not happy. Yeah. Well, is the ascendant or the rising in the Kabbalah, or however you say it?
No, because they use the zodiacs, but they don't use the chart.
And because it's not technically like a planet placement, it's a natal chart placement. It's not really.
Right. It's more of like, because they don't use the ascending really at all, but they use like, obviously they use the zodiacs because there is, um, each Sephira has a zodiac. Each Sephira has a planet. They rule those specific things.
Hmm.
So they don't have like a midheaven. They don't have a dragon's tail or dragon's head, like an in and out kind of thing. Um, what's the other one? Midheaven, I think.
Yeah.
I did learn some other things. So I was looking at those aspects. You know how we did the rising sign, and I only picked up a few because I didn't do it gets crazy. So, like when you're looking at astrology, it's a conversation with each other. It's not like we're learning just the basics right now, the bare bone basics.
Hmm.
After a while, once you learn the houses and the planets, then you learn about how they communicate with each other. So like when they say conjunction, that's where they're together in the same sign and they're fusing into one. And
Oh,
this could be a good aspect, this could be a bad aspect, this could be both. So
interesting.
like I have three planets that are in Capricorn. So I would say that would be a conjunction. I could be wrong, but like that's what I'm thinking.
Because I have three that are in Libra.
Libra, right?
Yep.
And see, we don't know. I guess at this point, I don't know if it's bad or good technically. And then what house it is, it also, depending on the house that these planets are in, depends on the strength of the power that they are adding to your makeup, your personal makeup. It's like a
Hmm.
flavoring chart. So like I might have a very strong Saturn in my soup,
Gotcha.
which it would be kind of spicy, I would think. No, that would be Mars.
Because actually, I lied. I'm sorry. I have four in Libra, and three of those are in the same house. Huh.
I don't know if they have to be in the same house. I know they have to be in the same sign. So probably they're all in the same sign. But we could look at, obviously, this is just me kind of glancing over some stuff. It's not like it's,
Right. Nobody claimed to be an expert here.
no, no. So the next one is trine. So trine is, so if you look at your chart and they say trine, it's a connective, it's an active togetherness, like an active connection.
Hmm.
So these are like when they made it sound like this is that it was more like if two people are having sex
I have no trying in mind.
because it's an active like togetherness.
Huh.
I think I had
Okay,
a
so
couple tries, but they're really
wh-
good. I think they're done by the triangle. I don't know what conjunction is. I forget what the sign of conjunction. Where's my phone?
which two did you do? You did trine, which is like they're having
Conjunction and trine, yeah.
in conjunction. Quick overview. Trine was like they're in love. They're making a baby,
Trine is, yeah, they're active togetherness. It's an active. They're
and then
like if they're actively planning a party or planning your murder, or, they're actively doing something.
conjunction was they're blending together.
Yeah, they're almost becoming one, like a
Interesting.
superpower. Like all of the jewels are coming together to become one jewel.
Wow. And then there's square.
Square, actually, okay, so I have square is like squaring up to fight.
No.
So these would be two planets that would be opposing each other and calling each other names. They'd be like, "Fuck you, Gary."
Fuck you, Gary. That come from? Fuck you, Gary. Who's Gary?
All I can think of is that like groundhog or ground fuck, what are they? And you know how they just sit there and they go, "Hey, hey." And there's memes that are made about them where they're like, "Hey." He's like, "Hey, what's your name?"
Fuck you, Gary.
"Steve."
Yes.
"Fuck you, Steve." You know that one. That's all I could think of. And then there's sextile, which is like they're not having sex, but they're holding hands and flirting.
Mm, I heard a
So it's
baby
a,
sneeze.
I know, I don't know where anybody is. I can't see anybody.
Hmm.
But you know what I can see?
Oh God. Heathens at night, people. Stick with us.
You signed up for this bullshit. You knew it was gonna happen, right? Like eventually. I'm
God.
mad that you can't see the whole thing anyway. Because I got my headphones on, that's why. My head's too big right now.
You look so cool. Your head looks very big, very large, and in charge.
It is large and in charge. That's where all the brains are.
Um, okay,
Hold
really,
please.
really quick, I would like to say, once you guys find out your place of birth, your time, your obviously you'll know your birthday, but I really, really suggest the pattern. Again, I'm gonna say it again. Reason being is because when you go into my vault, right? And you go to view natal chart, when you go over, there's chart signs and aspects. It tells you the aspects on there, like
Absolutely.
what planet is what to what.
And it gives you a little bit of a detailed summary of like what that would look like playing out in your life too. That's what I really like about it.
Yes.
Although a friend of mine and I would always sit there and text each other because we both were on the pattern. And like, sometimes that pattern be hitting hard in not a good
Mm.
way.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, fuck the pattern.
Yeah.
Fuck the
Uh-huh.
pattern. And then there's one more opposition. Opposition is a verbal spat. Like not seeing eye to eye. Like you're not actually like fist fighting and causing physical harm. You're just arguing a little.
Fuck you, Gary.
Fuck you, Gary.
Makes sense to me.
Right. I think we've said all that. Yeah, so I guess in closing with the rising sign, uh it would be like putting on colored glasses. So like mine would probably be rose-colored glasses, and we know we've heard about that. Like you see the world through rose-colored glasses. Um, that would be that.
Mine would be disco ball glasses, apparently.
For Pisces,
They're magical.
well, yeah, but they're not disco. Yeah.
Disco. Disco, disco. All right. Shall we move on to your Mercury planet placement?
Mercury. Oh, that's it.
We have a
That's
lot
all
to
she
talk
wrote,
about.
folks.
We have a lot to talk about.
We do.
Yeah. Because we're also going to talk about Mercury retrograde.
Oh, we are?
Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So,
Very excited about this.
Mercury is going to be a planet of communication in the mind. The way that I have it made sense in my head right now is that your moon goes through your Mercury and then projects out.
Your moon goes through your Mercury and projects out.
Yes. That's how I made it make sense in my head. Because you're the way that I talk sometimes, and I've thought about it a lot with myself too. I usually love to know people's Mercuries and their Venuses. Reason being is because it tells me a lot more with their moon, especially, and their sun, because I feel like you talk, your emotions come out through the way that you talk. And I feel like you see it a lot when those two are blended together because even though my moon's in Aquarius and sometimes that makes me detached, my Mercury's in Libra, which makes me very much think about the way that I'm going to say the things that I want to say.
Mhm.
So like I'll be feeling some kind of way, and sometimes the my moon will go right past my Mercury and say, fuck that shit, we're talking, let's go. But like a lot of the times I'll be feeling something and I have to think a lot about how I want to say it to make sure that it feels good to me, like it's balanced in my head and the way that I think, and then it
Right.
will come out. Does that make
Oh,
sense? So like this again, this is the planet communication, your mind. This tells a lot about how you communicate, how you make decisions, how you process and exchange information. So it can also offer insights about your sense of humor too, which did not know and I love that.
no,
Um,
I did not know that either.
but it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, So Mercury not only rules, like we said, the communication of the mind, but it also rules technology, language, transportation, and commerce, which is why we blame retrogrades for like disastrous commutes and misunderstandings and broken devices. Oh, well, this isn't working. It must be Mercury in retrograde. So
We
if
always blame the planet.
we always blame the planet, we really do. We love a scapegoat.
We really do.
If you were born during a Mercury retrograde, it's not a bad thing like people like to say when Mercury is in retrograde is. It just means that you may be more introspective or be like an abstract thinker, or have like learned a lot about organization in your life, even because you're very internalized.
I was
Start
trying to see if my Mercury is in retrograde. I don't think it is. No, it is.
is mine. Let's
I
see.
do have a Mercury in retrograde.
Mine is not. So yeah, I've read that, like I said, it just means that you may be more introspective. So
Right.
instead of it being like so outward and you're like an outward thinker in a way, it's like you're going to be more introspective about things. Now, granted, there's signs that go into that make that happen too, right? This is again, we're getting a good reading from somebody who really knows their shit is going to come into play because they can tell you more about that. But I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
talk about like Mercury retrograde in general because I feel like when it comes to natal chart astrology, it's going to be a little bit different of like understandings when it comes to readings for the world, right? Or like, yes, there's a Mercury retrograde happening. Basically, when that's happening, yes, we could have like we obviously believe, at least in this household, the Heathens household, we believe that the moon and the planets have a huge play on how they affect us, right? Now there's either going with it and working with it or there's blaming it. And that's what I wanted to talk about is like we use it as a scapegoat, we use it to inflame our victimhood. We use it a lot to be like, oh, Mercury's in retrograde, Mercury's in Gatorade, Mercury's in the microwave, whatever you want to say. There's a lot of sayings for it. And then we use that as, well, that's why we can't communicate right now. Or that's why this, or why that's why that. Yes, well, that does have an effect on us. It's all a matter of how you take on the energy or choose to fight against it.
Right. Because you can, if you understand it, then you work with it. Because the reason why you need Mercury in retrograde is to whatever you've been actively doing for the past so many months until Mercury goes into retrograde is where you're supposed to take that time, that 3 weeks, and like think about that and be introspective about it so that you can
Yes.
carry on better way. They want you to look closely at the things that you are creating in this world. They want you to
Yes.
look at the fine lines. They want you to find the little mistakes inside of there on the contract, you know. And that's the
Yes.
thing, is like I've run many experiments on Mercury in retrograde. And first of all, I'd like to say that you've been through many metro retrogrades
Without even knowing it.
without even knowing it. So just because you're looking at it doesn't mean it's any different.
Right.
Um, second of all, like I have remember buying things that I were expensive and they tell you not to necessarily buy things that are expensive during Mercury retrograde, right? And I know, or basically what played out was that either it wasn't in good quality or I didn't do enough research on it, or I didn't really need it, is when it
Right.
came out. I didn't, it wasn't very useful. Um, then I've watched a person, one of my clients, and this was before I really talked open about it. Plus, like somebody that's looking for a job, you don't want to necessarily don't sign that job because it's Mercury in retrograde. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be an asshole either. So I was like, I just observed at that point because he's been a client of mine for a very long time. So he got this job and he had it for 3, 4 years before it really imploded. So it's
Mm.
like that kind of stuff. It's like if you take it, A, you need to go over, if you're signing a contract, you need to really make sure that you're looking at everything because you're missing something. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Um, and it might not even be in the contract. It might be that the boss is like not mentally stable. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So, um, what was the other thing? And then recently, now when you start doing ritual magic, it fine tunes the planets a little bit and you're not so connected to the stars as you are if you're not, kind of thing. And it's not a better or worse kind of thing. It just is. Um, and I remember When I bought my Flex, it was during Mercury retrograde.
It was like
But
fresh Mercury retrograde.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, I'm not supposed to buy this, but like everything is leading me to it.
Hmm.
All the signs are pointing to this. It's like the signs are literally like, here's a used car when there's no used cars. It's in your price range. Like, I bought that car. I found it on a Tuesday. I bought it on a Friday, sight unseen.
Yeah.
Like, and everything I did some research on it, on how to haggle it. I got the loan for it the very next day, no problem. Went up, picked the check up, paid the dealer, like everything was like boom, 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 boom. So should I have missed out on that opportunity because of Mercury retrograde, because of fear, or do I listen to my guides and like this is where it gets a little muddy and a little tricky is like, how do we have a communication with Mercury in retrograde without being a victim to it?
Yeah, and I think that also this is where I personally would say pay attention to when they're going to come up because you're much more aware. And I feel like, again, knowledge is power, and knowing that it's coming up is power because you could be like, okay, traffic might suck. All right, cool. I'm aware. I left a little bit early. No big deal. We might have to talk some things through better and like use more words and more descriptors. I might need to
Yeah.
ask more questions or like, especially with people with their hair. I might have to make sure we get it down to the very T to make sure that we're both on the same page because it just takes more questions. It's just that knowledge is power in that way where it's like, all right, it's coming up. It's going to be in this, like, and that's where we're going to be like having a little bit of an issue. All right, like, maybe the Wi-Fi is not going to be as nice to me. Okay, well, then I'm aware, you know?
Right, right. Or, like that kind of thing. If you make a mistake, it's okay. You just kind
Right.
of chalk it up to like, I needed to learn that lesson at this point.
Yeah.
It's not as serious as like, I think a lot of people are making it,
Right.
really.
Right. Now, when it comes to your chart, like we said, that's going to be more introspective. So, like,
Hmm.
the thing is with Mercury in retrograde, Mercury is generally associated with duality and rules the signs of like Gemini and Virgo. Now, Gemini and Virgos are most likely going to feel Mercury retrogrades more intensely than others. Because, like, I've definitely seen that before. My grandma is a Virgo through and through. I feel like she probably has quite a few placements in Virgo. It sometimes it like takes the analytical and flips it on its head and says, "Here you go. Deal with that.
Right.
Figure it out." It's like a beetle on their back. They're trying to get back over and they're like, "Why?
Mhm. I can't get up.
I can't get up, help me."
Well, and that's the thing is like if you're having a tough Mercury in retrograde, take a bath.
Oh yeah.
Start to use all this stuff that we preach and we talk about, then we forget to use it when we really fucking need it, right? If
Hmm.
you're having a bad day, go take a bath, go take a nap, do something that's for yourself, self-care. Like, I had a bad day, I'm gonna smoke a joint and I'm gonna take a bath and then I'm gonna go to bed, and that's it, right? Like,
Lean into a Pisces energy. Escapism.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you need just get your mind right and then hit the world again tomorrow. Like you can't stay there.
No. That's where Capricorn energy comes back up. Get your ass up. Let's go. We got shit to do.
Let's go. We got shit to do.
That's like why, like, again, like, even there, you can like lean into your Venus and be like, oh, she just wants to relax and she wants to be wined and dined. And then
Right.
you can lean back into like even your Saturn and just be like, all right, shit to do. Let's go, baby.
That's enough whining and dining. Now you're an alcoholic. Let's go.
Let's go. We got shit to do.
We got shit to
Sober
do.
up.
Sober up. Let's
I'm
go.
hanging the banana bag. Let's go. Okay, so Mercury also rules youth or siblings, alchemy, the hands again. All this is like the mind, communication, your small intestines. Mercury is also gonna offer the best insights into how you organize and make sense around the world. So for those that like to journal or you know, anything organization, if you lean into your Mercury, that's going to help a lot because it'll give you a lot of insight on how it's what's going to be best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, this planet guides you in communication. Like, what's your conversational style and how do you articulate your thoughts? It's getting mobility, planes, trains, and automobiles. How do you like to get around? Systems, like how do you organize data and stay on top of moving parts?
Yeah,
Um,
I've always noticed that Mercury's going retrograde when I see a lot of cars on the side of the road.
yeah, I've noticed that
Because
too.
I've noticed that and I'm like, is there Mercury in retrograde? Like,
I'll be like,
that is a whole thing.
hell yeah. Um, it's gonna be this planet's gonna guide you in your thought processes, how you process ideas and make decisions.
Mhm.
Your social life, what sort of people do you easily click with, and hobbies, like what do you enjoy doing in your extracurricular time? That's where all of this is where you can really lean into your Mercury and really like use it very well.
Mhm.
That's what I got. I got some Mercury signs up, but other than
The
that, that's
Mercury
what I got.
signs. Uh, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Oh, there was the one thing that I read about Mercury's action is to take things apart and put them back together again. It's a opportunistic.
Opportun Oh, now it's not gonna come out
Yep,
right.
opportunistic.
It's right there. It's not gonna come out right because all I can hear is just uh,
Planet deciding unemotionally and curious. So, and when we're talking about the planets, there are good planets and bad planets. This is either or. It could go either or. It could be on your side and be beneficial, or it could be maleficent because it's a trickster god, and Mercury likes to the god Mercury uh is also the god of thieves.
oh,
And yeah, which I forget why. There's some stories in there. But oh, because he steals things. That's why.
was
He stole the harp from Apollo and then had to give it back because Apollo's his brother, and that's he stole his harp.
well.
And I think a
Um,
cow. I think there was a cow involved as well.
so yeah, man, look up your Mercury. Mine's in Libra, Nicole's is in Capricorn, right along with our suns.
And mine is retrograde.
Oh yeah, well there you go. It's very interesting when you read up on your like signs. Again, this is gonna help you to understand a lot about yourself and ways that you can make things easier for yourself, you know?
This
So
will, well, yeah, and the more you read it, the more it'll just be, you'll get to understand. It helped me understand myself a little bit better.
same. Yeah,
Hmm.
especially because like you guys gotta understand like this planet ruling not only your mind, but the way you communicate too. You do a lot of communication in your life, like whether it's a
Hmm.
partner, your friend, like you're just a random person, like there's a lot of communication that like happens and it really helps you to understand like if you're like I don't like this about myself, why do I talk like that, or like why do I think like
Right.
this, like when I'm in conversation, it really helps you to understand why that is and like what you could do differently.
Hmm.
So good.
So good. All right,
So
I just
good.
want to go a little bit on the Kabbalah and this is the eighth Sephirah, and it's the name is Had. Um, it's also named Glory. It's a hermaphrodite is the image.
Mm.
Um, it's at the foot of the pillar of severity, so it goes Saturn, Mars, and then Mercury. Uh, Let's see here. The archangel is Michael. like unto God. The order of angels are Beni Elohim, the Son of God. Um, the virtue is truthfulness, and the vice is falsehood and dishonesty, which makes sense.
Look in the camera at
Oh
your
God,
port. I'm
I
sorry, you
just have
got
little
glowing
eyes,
eyes.
glowing
Cat or
eyes in the
demon?
back.
Cat or ghost?
Cat or demon? Cat or demon?
Sorry, I said are
Sorry,
those some glowing
gonna
eyes?
he's
That's
gonna be
funny.
mad about it. Um,
Anyways, please continue.
sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
He's just gonna have to wait. The eighth path is called the absolute or perfect intelligence because it is the mean of the primordial, which has no root by which it can cleave or rest, saved in the hidden places of Geburah, from which emanates its proper essence. I have no idea what that means. I think it means that Mercury is obviously the thought of it, where Geburah is the action of it. So you have to have the thought and then the action. But just by reading it, that's what I got.
It's like the thought and the communication, right? Like the
Yeah.
mind and then the mouth.
Well, and even the whole pillar is understanding strength and intelligence.
Hmm.
So it literally goes from like, because it's a whole thing.
Where is Mercury at on the tree of life?
It's the eighth one, so it's right here. So this is Geburah, this is Benan, and then we have over here is the Mercy pillar. So we have Hokmah. Oh, it's Jupiter. Hold on. Hasad and Netzach, which is
Mm,
Venus. So then you have um what was the first one? Hokmah. Hokmah. Yes, because okay, Hokmah. Hokmah's the first one because or the second one because the light comes down into the first emanating of like God's light manifestation. So then it separates into two pillars, the female side and the male side. The male side is the mercy side. So you don't have a planet. It's actually all the zodiac signs in the first
mm,
that first Sephra. And then it goes Jupiter and then it goes Venus. And that's the
okay.
side of Mercury. Where the side of severity are your planets that aren't as nice. So then you have Saturn,
Hmm.
Geburah, which is Mars, and then you have Had, which is it could be either way. It could go either way.
Okay.
It could either help or hinder.
Hmm.
Which I feel like Mercury is exactly like that. So when it goes
Yes.
into retrograde, it's not necessarily going to be nice. It's not going to be as smooth, but it's still trying to teach you something. It's still trying to have you get an understanding of something.
So instead of help or hinder, it's help and hinder.
Yes,
It's doing
yes.
both.
It's doing both.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And I think that's all we got for that.
Yeah, that's a kind of all she wrote for this. Next week we are going over something,
Maybe.
maybe. Um, Next week we are doing I'm excited for this one because I really love these two planets now that I learned more about them, but Saturn and Jupiter.
Oh, and these are going to be great because these are the ones, like, especially, I think a lot of people like Jupiter because it's a big, fun, gassy planet. But like Saturn is the one that everybody's afraid of. So it'll be really nice to talk about both of them
I
and the way
agree.
they play on each other.
Yeah, because I feel like once learning about them, it's kind of like learning about Mars when you're like, oh, okay, Mars isn't so like bad, or Mercury isn't so bad. I felt like that about Saturn when I learned more about it. I was like, oh, okay. Actually, we need Saturn, but
Right, right. Actually, didn't we learn this on Know Thyself? Their first part of their podcast, isn't that all about the planets and stuff?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I feel like
I know they did the zodiac signs, but I cannot remember because they
right,
do it in a
right,
whole different light than what we're doing. Just so you guys
right.
know, please listen to it. That is big brain stuff.
Big brain stuff.
That is big brain
I
stuff.
had to listen to it a couple times because I'm like,
Yeah. They big
how do I
brains.
apply this?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I
Hmm.
was like, I don't even know what I'm listening to right now.
Right, right. I just wandered off in my head somewhere.
They were talking and I heard the teacher from Peanuts. What,
Wah, 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 wah,
what? And I
wah, wah,
said,
wah.
I don't speak your language, sir.
Sorry, I don't speak your language.
Well, thanks for joining us for Heathens at Night, even though you will listen to this during the day
Or at night.
or at night. Heathens at Night, dog. Like Nicole always says, like, share, follow. Uh,
Like, share, follow, get our numbers up. Come on, guys, we can do it.
yeah, exactly. I feel like it's been steadily growing, so go
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
We're doing the damn thing. But it would be nice because it would be helpful. So,
it would be helpful. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Peace out, homies. Have a good day, night, whatever it is.
That's right. Bye.